And in this case, she is the book. And just riding with her and getting to know her and becoming friends with her and seeing the changes that she makes in people's lives has been really powerful. And I want to share her with you. So please welcome Molly.
Hi, thank you so much, Michelle. So sweet. I mean, likewise, like energy attracts like energy, as we always kind of talk about. But
well, so Molly, I think first I'm going to have Molly explain her background. So it's always really fabulous to understand, hear about people's journeys and how it can kind of connect to our own or inspire us to maybe take a different road on our journey. So I wanted Molly to share with all of you how she got to this point in her life. She's still super young, but she's already doing really fabulous things, and there's more to come. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Michelle, for the very wonderful intro. So yeah, hi everyone. I'm Molly Sullivan, like Michelle said. I'm a SoulCycle instructor and a transformation coach in San Francisco. I am 32 years old. I will be 33 this year. As I always say, I think it just keeps on getting better. It just gets better. Life continues to get better, which is awesome.
When is your birthday?
It's in October, so I'm a Libra.
October what?
October
you're a
6th.
Libra. Okay.
The 6th.
Okay, I'm the end of the month. But we're both October birthdays.
Yes.
So I have to do a whole October thing,
we'll
like MK did the May thing, right?
Yes, totally. We will. We're gonna celebrate huge for October.
That's awesome.
But yeah, my journey, like many people's journey, started a long time ago. In terms of what I do now, I mean, I'm a fitness professional. I'm a transformation coach. Prior to this, most recently, I was in tech for 6 years. Before that, I was a professional dancer. So, I mean, my story really begins when, I was 5 and took my first dance class. And, I knew instantly when I started taking class that I wanted to be a dancer. I was always passionate about that. And that was my big dream growing up. And so I kind of put all of my energy, behind studying dance, performing as much as I could. There was definitely that time where when I was going to school growing up, but you were kind of playing sports and doing, school, sports, dance, all that stuff. Very early on, I, decided to put sports aside and focus all of my energy into dance. So, I graduated early from high school. I had a dance scholarship and, went to college for a couple of years. And pretty much instantly when I got into school, the question with my parents was, when can I move away to become the dancer, to, move to New York or move to a bigger market, because I grew up in a small town in Nevada. Gardnerville, Nevada, went to school in-state at Reno. So anyways, flash forward a couple of years after school, I, convinced my parents to let me audition for the Golden State Warriors. And so that was actually my first experience in the Bay Area.
Go Warriors.
Yes, go Warriors. So proud of the Warriors now.
Oh my gosh.
It's a huge year for them.
Yeah.
So I danced for the NBA for a year, and then I moved to LA and danced for a couple of years out there. So I definitely, was able
What year
to,
did you dance for the Warriors?
2003.
Okay.
So, gosh, that's over a decade now. It just feels so long ago. So I was like just a little baby then. Feels like, so
You're
young.
still a baby.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. But yeah, after that, then I moved to Los Angeles and pursued my dancing career out there, kind of started to get into some television work. And, LA is sort of a different beast, when you're out there in the capacity that I was. After a couple of years of dancing and, kind of living that part of my life, I decided to go back to school and finish my education. That was very important to me. So I went back to school, finished in 2 years, and then immediately moved to San Francisco, to the Bay Area, just because I fell in love with it here, and it always very much felt like home to me. So from that point on, I kind of had thought, all right, well, I got to live my dream as a dancer. I was always, knew that dance would be a part of my life in some way, just because it's that kind of, that saying, like, once a dancer, always a dancer. It just lives in you. So I thought I would always take class in some capacity, but I was, had kind of just resigned. That part of my life was over. And it was kind of to get serious, be about the career, have all the opportunities and experiences that I wanted to have as a self-sufficient woman, you know? So I put everything that I had into my tech career. I was in tech for 6 years. I worked in the PR industry and worked for really big agencies. I worked for Edelman. I worked for Ogilvy. Then I went in-house. I started working in the startup world. And I discovered SoulCycle toward the end of that. I'll get to that story, you know, shortly. But, you know, I mean, it was... So moving from, you know, dance to being in tech for 6 years, you know, it took a lot for me to actually realize, hey, I can have another career change, you know, because I think for many of my years, I just, like I said, you know, thought, okay, that's behind me. I already did that.
Yeah.
Like, how can I go from tech to fitness?
Yeah.
Can I have another
But
transformation?
does it also feel sometimes, I think for people, one of the hurdles to them making a change is they feel like it's a failure leaving one thing.
Yes.
Moving to another thing. Like, are you know, how it's going to be read by other people. And I think that's what can oftentimes get in the way of people following their passion rather than staying with what maybe feels safer.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Following your passion, what that really means is, you know, living in a way that is 100% authentic to your heart, your dream, and not caring what other people think about you. And I don't think that many people, it requires a lot of courage to live that way, plain and simple.
Yeah,
if you are living with your full heart every single day, whether it's, you know, from your own career, your relationship, just how you live your everyday life, it takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there. And I think the more you do it, though, it's a practice. The more you just like, it just becomes how you live your life. And that's when all the miracles and the magic starts happening, you know.
And I think that, you know, I would like to add that I think it has a lot to do with getting in touch with your values. And if you let your values guide you, they're really reliable guides.
Oh,
and so
absolutely.
if you follow that, then your experience, everything is happening the way that you want it to happen.
Absolutely. So, you know, to your point, one of the things that my parents always told me growing up was, you know, trust your gut, listen to your intuition.
Shout out to mom and dad.
Hi, mom and dad. They're probably watching right now. Hi. They are amazing. I am very, very fortunate to have a wonderful family, it
makes a big difference.
It makes a, huge difference. And my parents have been incredibly supportive and also like were very diligent, I think, about instilling, you know, a strong set of values. And one of those for me has always been, you know, from them, trust your gut, trust your intuition.
Yeah.
So, you know, a few years into my tech career, I mean, I was sort of plagued with this feeling of, you know, something felt that it was a little missing. I felt that I wasn't really doing what I was meant to do. You know, on the outside looking in, I had, you know, what seemed like a really, I think, great life. And, you know, for all intents and purposes, it really was. I mean, it wasn't that I was, you know, horribly unhappy. I had a wonderful career. I had a great paycheck. I worked with really awesome, creative people. I got to travel for work. But I felt a deeper calling inside. I always have felt that I was supposed to help people in a bigger way.
Yeah.
And I wasn't quite sure what that meant or what that looked like. And especially being so far into my career, you think, you know, to your point, whether it's, you know, being afraid to make that leap because of what people will think. I think for me, it was, oh my gosh, I've invested 6 years. I mean, I've been, you know, I worked through the night, so many nights, you know, so many product launches, so much like blood, sweat, and tears. Am I willing to walk away from that? Yeah. And I think sometimes we get too caught up in what that means, attaching maybe too much to our career or to, you know.
Or even to a relationship. Some people can have a difficult time letting go when it might not be the best choice for them because they've already invested X number of years.
Right. And so it's like you have to reach that inflection point when it becomes less about, oh my gosh, look at all these things that I'm giving up, and more about, wow, look at the breadth of experience and knowledge that I'm able to carry from that experience into whatever it is that I do next.
Right.
You know, I mean, for me, I was working in, you know, PR and marketing, and I, did some business development, but one of the big things that I did before I left Soul Cycle was I launched a magazine a few years ago with a team, and how awesome is that? And now I get to, I spend a ton of time writing, and now I'm writing my own blog, so it all translates. You're always on the journey. There's always a purpose. I believe that with my whole heart.
Yeah. I mean, I've always felt like when I look back at my life that all these little things, even if they weren't perfect, like they all make sense. The way that everything has led to wherever I am at that point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It may not have been without pain, but it all kind of ties together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that anyone who is living a big life, meaning anyone who is really following their dreams, who is putting themselves out there, there's no question. It's not a matter of if, it is when there will be challenges. There's always going to be those challenges.
Yeah.
Because you're not coasting.
Right.
You're not taking a back seat. When you step in and start really living your life, start taking, control of how you want to be spending your days.
Yeah, and you're not avoiding.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be without challenges. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, going back to that point, that value point that you brought up about, really going back to that. I mean, I just got to a point with work where, I thought, okay, I really don't feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I had, at that time had gone through, a few years of really sort of going on a more like a deeper spiritual dive with myself, and like really getting into meditation and doing a lot of different reading and doing a lot of personal work,
Yeah.
So when that starts happening, I believe, we're able to kind of like quiet out some of the outside noise, and that internal wisdom starts bubbling up to the surface, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, the questions about, am I spending my days the way that I know I'm meant to be, am I truly living my purpose? I knew the answers to those questions, but I wasn't quite sure what the outcome looked like, or even how to act on it at one point. So, little did I know, and I write about this on my blog, but, the universe has a way, however you look at kind of, the world. I mean, from my perspective, I grew up Catholic, so God was always a conversation in my household. I don't practice Catholicism anymore, but definitely have, a deep spiritual foundation. And I believe that we're all connected and always guided, and there's lots of signs around us. And so it was like I knew inside that I was supposed to be doing something else, but wasn't quite sure how to act on it. So I just feel like the universe came.
You were still conflicted.
I was still conflicted.
I'm gonna leave the cliffhanger here. This is the teaser for the next section. I'm not gonna let you tell the part about what the signs were yet.
Okay, we'll get back to the signs.
But what I want to say before we go to break, just to lead into this, is that the only way that the signs are going to make a difference is if you're paying attention and you're open. So oftentimes we're getting bombarded with signs, but we're deaf and blind to them.
Yes.
And usually that happens. I mean, it also can be a really difficult, painful time. And it can be a time when, someone is really depressed or really going through a challenging period. The more you can be open and aware of what's going on around you, the more you can notice that. So you were really open.
Yes.
And very aware.
Yes.
And that's one of the things, that helped you tremendously. So we'll hear about the signs in just a minute. Oh, and before we go to break, I want to mention Molly's website is MollySullivan.com. So it's Molly Sullivan, Molly with an I, Sullivan.com. You should check it out. She also is, what do you call yourself? A culinary
explorer.
I love She's a culinary explorer. We're all about food in the Bay Area. We have all of our, I like that, culinary explorer.
Yeah.
So she also has lots of great recipes and all sorts of stuff. It's a fun blog. You want to check it out, and more to come from her. You're listening to Relationships 2.0. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Stay tuned for more with Molly Sullivan, my special guest.
Thanks, Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Skeen, psychologist, author, and host of Relationships 2.0. On my radio show, I interview guests who present their unique perspectives and expertise on topics that cover all aspects of relationship. If you want to improve your relationship, and let's face it, we all have room for improvement, tune in to Relationships 2.0 with Dr. Michelle Skeen. If you miss my show or you're interested in listening to Pat's podcast, you can go to my website, www.michelleskeen.com. Again, www.michelleskeen.com. Tune in and improve your relationships.
When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, both of my daughters were pregnant, and everything I was looking forward to turned into everything I was going to miss. First words, first steps. Today, those babies are 3. I'm with them all the time. I don't know what's next, but I know I'm here today.
A Susan G. Komen grant helped pay for Alanthia's surgery, and today she's caring for her grandchildren. Help save lives. Visit IamSusanGKomen.org. A public service message from Susan G. Komen.
Hey, what's up? Thinking about you. XOXOXO. Want to snuggle. ... JK. Hit me back. You getting these texts? ? We should hang later. I miss you. Holla at ya, boy. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you at home? Where are you? What are you doing? OMG. You are making me mad. Are you with your ex? You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That'snotcool.com.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Relationships 2.0. I'm chatting with Molly Sullivan. Hi, Molly.
Hi, Michelle.
This is so much fun to have someone here with me. It's so different to have someone to look at. It's really exciting. I'm always just staring at the computer. Anyway, so now Molly's going to, we did the teaser. Now she's going to tell us about her the signs that came to her.
Yes. So I had not 1, not 2, but 3 big signs that came in my life about 1.5 years ago. So I was, as I mentioned, I was working in tech and getting ready for a business trip to Southern California, which was not a typical thing for me. I often traveled to New York, sometimes, 4, 5, 6 times a year. So a trip to Southern California was not typical. As I was packing my bag, getting ready to go, I had an Uber that was waiting for me. As I walked out my apartment, my suitcase handle, it broke. So I thought, dang it, I didn't have enough time to unpack and repack. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just get to Southern California and, I'll buy a new suitcase when I get there. So I get to Southern California. When I got there, simultaneously during this business trip, someone I had met over the summer, a work acquaintance, his name was Chris. We met over the summer at an industry event and we hit it off. Like, it was just one of those instant connections, where I actually think I texted my sister Tracy afterwards and said, oh my gosh, I just met the most awesome guy. Too bad he's on like a different coast. Like, it was enough of a connection where, you felt that. But I just kind of didn't read anything into it because I was living in San Francisco and that was sort of that. So anyways, he happened to text me a week before and said, hey, I'm going to be in LA. By any chance, are you going to be in town? And I thought, gosh, that's so weird, because since that event, he had texted me several times, but I was kind of just like, he's in New York. Like, what does this really mean? Anyway, so I thought, wow, that's so funny. I'm never in Southern California, and he's also just happens to be there. How bizarre, you know? But anyway, we had, you know, decided that we were going to grab dinner a couple of times that week, and so I was, you know, looking forward to seeing him. So I get to LA, and I, you know, get to my hotel. I decided to stay in Santa Monica because obviously Santa Monica is beautiful, and there's a farmer's market that's huge and gorgeous.
Right.
So I decided to treat myself and stay downtown Santa Monica, right by the beach. And I just happened to be staying by a SoulCycle. So my usual routine when I travel for work is find the first gym and find a grocery store. That's like how I handle things when I travel. So I found the grocery store. There was a gym in my hotel, but it wasn't interesting. So I saw that there was a SoulCycle, and I thought, what is SoulCycle? You know, I was immediately intrigued. So I Googled it. I had never heard of it before. I Googled it and, you know, read that it was basically this 45-minute cardio party. You're riding to the rhythm in the dark. Candles are lit. There's, you know, air freshener.
Music.
Yeah. I mean, killer. Awesome
Everyone's
instructors.
so nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm definitely checking this out. And I actually didn't really like spin. I never really enjoyed spin classes.
Yeah.
It always just felt like work, you know, like when is this going to be over type of a situation. But I thought I would check it out. So I checked it out that week, and it was just, again, it was one of those experiences where, you know, you felt that you were there for a reason. I mean, from the moment I got to the studio to clipping in, I mean, I felt something come over me that was like, okay, I'm supposed to be here. And I was like posting about it on Facebook, literally telling I think I texted every single one of my friends, like, have you guys heard of SoulCycle? Take a class immediately. I was just so excited about it. Told Chris about it when we were out there, you know, for the week. And we happened to meet up a couple of times for dinner when I was in town. And, you know, it was a great week. So I get to the end of the week. Of course, I have to fit in one more SoulCycle class. It was going to make me late to the airport. But I thought, all right, well, there's no SoulCycle yet in San Francisco, so I better get one more class in. So I went, I took a class, I came back, and I remembered that my suitcase was broken. I didn't have, you know, a chance to go and get it fixed or go and get a new one. So I'm packing my bag. I'm trying to get to the airport. I get to the airport. It's the Virgin America terminal, and I'm carrying it around. It was a carry-on, but it was quite heavy. And so I could have carried it on the plane, but it was cumbersome. So I was just doing that waffling thing, like really back and forth. And then in the very last minute, when I stepped through the doors, I looked to my right, and there was the TSA agent, you know, where I could have just easily gone in. I already had my boarding pass, or I could go to the left and check my bag. And so I just said, you know, I just feel like I should check it, you know. Inside, I just feel like I should. So I turned left, and then within moments, shots rang out over my right hand shoulder. So I, you know, guns were not a thing in my family, and I, you know, had never really been around them, but I'd literally never heard one go off, you know, near anyone.
Yeah.
But it didn't, I mean, immediately I put two and two together because it, you know, the shooter continued to fire, and, you know, we were in a major city at a major airport. So it was just one of those moments where it really is like those things that
it's like slow-mo.
Oh yeah. It's slow-mo, but also
you're
instantaneous.
Also fast. Yeah.
Right. And so everybody just dropped to the ground, and like I just remember trying to figure out what was going on. You know, at that time everything's racing through your head, like, are we under attack? Is there more than one shooter? What am I, you know, how am I going to get out of here? So I mean, I hit the ground, and I just remember looking back over my shoulder, and it was just literally like the spinning sensation, you know, and you're at that point, you're just at the fight or flight mode, and it was like, get out of there, run for your life. So everybody was mass pandemonium. Everybody just kind of exited, you know, the terminal running as fast as they could. And I happened to link up with two other Virgin America employees, and we were trying to pry open the doors of a bus that was outside, because outside people didn't really understand what was going on. Yeah. And so this girl was literally like sticking her hand in between the doors trying to open it. And something about that moment, and we couldn't get in, and I just felt so helpless in that moment. You know, I just felt like, wow, I don't know if I'm going to make it out of this. And I didn't get to do any of the things that like I really have been wanting to do, you know, and it's just, all those things that you either kind of read about or people who've been through similar things that they tell you that you think about, it's true. I mean, you're not thinking about work. You're thinking about your family. You're thinking about, all the things on your bucket list or, all those big chances, the big risks that you want to take that you haven't taken.
Right.
Having a family of my own. I mean, at that point, I was, I guess I was just 31. Yes. And, just like, gosh, did I put too much into my career, not enough time into, my social life? I mean, there's a million things that are going through your head. So anyways, I just ran. I just kept running, and these 3 girls pulled over in a BMW. They looked like my age and looked friendly. They had nice eyes. So they opened the door, told me to get in. So I jumped in. They drove me away from the crime scene. And, it's been quite the journey since then. But I mean, after that happened, definitely, it
you reevaluated
yes, everything. Absolutely. I mean, it just became very real. It was not just one of those things that you see, on television anymore. You don't know what's going to happen when you walk out your front door every single day, So, I mean, that really, the mirror was like really reflected at me at that point. And, I had to get honest. Was I really living my life the way that I wanted to? The answer was no. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd love to say that, from that moment forward, I just like threw every caution to the wind and, just jumped again, basically, as I like to say, don't be afraid to jump. I got that one from my dad. Thanks, Dad.
And for people listening, like, not everyone is going to have that kind of life or death experience, right?
No, I think the lesson for me, because ultimately what ended, I didn't right away make a change. And yes, in this instance, something very major, like, really had to, shook me. But I think that the lesson is here, whenever that inner wisdom starts bubbling up to the surface, whenever you start feeling intuitively that little voice inside, every single one of us has that inside of us. If you start hearing, I think there's something different for me, I want to be doing something else. If you feel pulled in another direction, the answer is to listen to that.
Yeah.
We don't need to wait until tragedy strikes. I mean, I was very lucky that day, and so was everybody else in the terminal. Unfortunately, one man lost his life, others were injured, and it's.
And was that the one where the TSA agent was actually the one who did the shooting?
No, he was the one who was shot he was at the bottom of the escalator. Yeah, it was I think a mentally ill, early, I think he was in his early 20s, I believe, who had, his family was on the East Coast, and he had been for several months struggling, but just, someone else who needed help in a different way.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, the key takeaway is, so from there, I mean, basically at the time I was neck deep in working on a startup actually with 3 other women. And so, it was sort of, then there was another journey, another 8-month journey until I finally, decided to make the jump myself.
Right.
But.
Well, you have to, that's the thing, is you also have to unwind some stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, after that happened, I mean, like I said, I would love to say that I just, dropped everything but again, it's all part of the journey. I mean, I was actually, really, it was upsetting to go through a situation like that, so there was quite a lot to process.
That's a big trauma. Yeah. That's PTSD stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was a challenging, another challenge, as we were just talking about earlier. Yeah. Life is not going to be without challenge, and you know what though? I mean, notwithstanding, people losing their lives that day, but.
But it changed your perspective a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it cemented for me even more, what I already knew to be true. Because here's the thing about signs, right? I believe that, like you said, signs happen all the time, that we're constantly surrounded by them. When we ask for them, we will receive them, So if you are looking for them, you will see them. But the only real sign that we ever need to listen to is our internal sign. Because I already had all of those signs coming up.
Yeah.
I had already known what was true. So a sign is really just an affirmation of something we already know to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that that can be really challenging for a lot of people, to trust their gut.
Oh, yeah. It's scary.
Right.
If I jump, will the net come? you know?
Yeah.
Am I going to land on my 2 feet? For me, it was, leaving tech to be, a fitness instructor.
Right.
Like, am I going to be able to support myself? Literally. What will my finances look like?
What did your partner say? Like, was that nerve-wracking for you to have to go and have, because I imagine these women were probably also friends too.
Yes.
There were like 4 of you. And
that was not, those were not easy conversations.
Yeah.
Those were not easy conversations.
And I think that's, that brings up another point about why sometimes people will avoid making those changes, is that no one likes to have uncomfortable conversations. No one likes to have difficult conversations. Mm-hmm. And so oftentimes there's a lot of avoiding around that. Well, it's easier to just not do that. I'd rather not do that. Mm-hmm. So you had to like gear up for that. You knew it mattered enough to you that you were prepared to have those conversations and be met maybe with less maybe they weren't encouraging. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think I was lucky in that people were fairly encouraging. But again, not only pouring myself into my career for the, previous 6 years, anybody who's ever built something, from the ground up, it is a lot of work. It is a lot of sweat equity. And at the time we were, fundraising for the business. And so that already on top of building a product is quite, that is a very challenging situation. And I had never done that before. So we were all just kind of figuring it out as we went. But, I think all of us got to this point where, in that situation, it was kind of roadblock after roadblock and not a challenge, which I think I look at challenges as a very positive thing, actually. Mm-hmm. I think that challenges are just little opportunities for growth in every single scenario. Mm-hmm. And that, when we were building the business, it was more of a roadblock, which was kind of like, I look at those as do not go forward. Mm-hmm. Those are more
or maybe
like
a dead end road.
Exactly. And so that's exactly how I envision it. This is not the path,
Right.
And sometimes we think, oh, maybe this is just a challenge.
Did they see that too? Or not as much?
In retrospect, I think they did, but
it could have been more, but it could have been more their passions too. So that could be very different, right?
Yeah.
Like
all of us were passionate people, and you kind of have to be to be trying to build something on your own. But I think everybody has. I will say this. Since then, everybody has moved on and seems to be, I think, in a really wonderful place, which is great. Is exciting, because that you can look back at that and say, yes, those were roadblocks. That isn't what we were supposed to be doing.
Maybe you led the charge on that for everyone. Maybe you did everyone a favor by moving on.
I think that it was just, it was a situation that, like I said, the roadblocks do not pass go, do not move forward. So I, felt strongly that I was being redirected and was. And now, here I am. I am a soul cycle instructor living in, my favorite city in the entire world.
And she's about to get married, but we're going to get to that in the next section, the next segment, because that guy in Santa Monica she had dinner with, she's going to marry in July. LA was a lot of stuff happened.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened. I call it, kind of the week that changed everything, for this new journey that I'm on in my life. It was quite the pivotal moment. So, yeah.
No kidding.
We'll talk more about it after the break.
So we're going to take another short break. Please stay tuned to listen to Molly Sullivan. Again, it's mollywithanI.Sullivan.com. Go to her website. It's really great. And you can see what an amazing body she has. This is no joke that these are workouts. It's crazy. And also when we come back, I'm going to ask her some questions about fitness and health and food and all of that, because I know everyone is constantly asking her how they can get in shape like she's in shape. I don't know if that part's possible, but maybe a little bit closer to that ideal. So stay tuned for all of that. You're listening to Relationships 2.0. We'll be right back.
Oh my God, you're so great.
America's wounded warriors are coming home. After serving on foreign shores, these brave men and women are returning to their families and communities. Many have wounds you can see, and many have wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Now that these warriors are back home, they are ready to enter the civilian workforce. To help, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. These extraordinary men and women bring proven world-class job skills and a unique perspective on teamwork to the job. And to ensure the right warrior finds the right job, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right match. When you hire a wounded warrior, you hire an intelligent, talented, and committed new employee. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
Do you tend to overreact and let your emotions rule your interactions with others? Do you become defensive or find it difficult to see things from another's point of view? Hi, I'm Michelle Skeen. You're not alone. Despite the fact that we all have to deal with people in our daily lives, many of us have difficulties with interpersonal relationships. My suggestion? Pick up a copy of the Interpersonal Problems Workbook. This book combines powerful evidence-based techniques for strengthening relationships in all areas of your life, whether it's at home or work, with a significant other, a parent, or your child. To find out more about the Interpersonal Problems Workbook, go to my website, www.michelleskeen.com. Again, www.michelleskeen.com. Pick up a copy and improve your relationships.
Hey, what's up? Thinking about you. XOXOXO. Want to snuggle, ... JK. Hit me back. You getting these texts? ? We should hang later. I miss you. Holla at ya, boy. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you at home? Where are you? What are you doing? OMG. You are making me mad. Are you with your ex? You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That'snotcool.com.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Relationships 2.0 with my special guest, Molly Sullivan.
Hi.
So, Molly wanted to, I know everyone always wants to know about exercise and fitness and losing weight and having more energy and sleeping better and all of that kind of stuff. So Molly's going to talk about some frequently asked questions from her writers. So first of all, I want to tell this story about how we met because, because
Yes.
it's kind of funny. I was thinking back. Now, every class of hers is packed with 60 writers, but when the studio near where I live opened, there were like 3 of us in each class. No, seriously, the classes are always small when the studios are new to open, like new people are coming and people are figuring it out. And a lot of times there are new instructors, and I'd never taken her before because at another studio a couple of miles away, there were other instructors that were my favorite instructors. And there's so many people who are great. But anyway, I started going to her class, and I used to always ride in the back row, which is elevated and seemed very cool. And I felt very safe back there. But now these classes, there aren't that many people. And so Molly's like, everyone to the front row. Everyone has to come up to the front row and ride in the front row. No one can ride in the back. We just have to make this group smaller. And so now I'm a front row rider. This is crazy because and now it's hard to, of course, get the front row seat that I now want when I used to always sign up for the back row seat because the classes are packed. But it's a lot of fun. And you can tell she was a dancer because she dances on that bike like no one else. It is crazy and a little bit intimidating. But so one of the things everyone always wants to know is she has insane arms and insane abs. Well, I mean, her whole body is fabulous, as is her face. But those are the two areas I think you probably get the most questions about, right? Like your arms are just there. Yeah. I remember the first time I took her class, I didn't know that she had on like a temporary tattoo on her arm, right?
Yes.
And right after the class, I called my daughter and I said, I just took from the most beautiful instructor. She has the most insane body. And you know I'm not big on tattoos, but for some reason, with the way her arms are cut, I love these tattoos on her, you know, because her arms are so defined. And then the next time I took the class, she didn't have tattoos on it, and I realized that they were temporary. But
yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, they're super. You haven't done it for a long time.
I know. Actually, Chris was just commenting about this very thing.
I was thinking about that last week, and I thought, well, maybe she's not doing it because she's getting ready to get married.
Well, that's true, actually.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Because after I
does
started
it stain a little bit?
Well, when I started trying on wedding dresses and the flash tats were there, I was like, well, it's hard to get like a real. How is
good
this going to
read on this?
Yes. So don't you worry. The flash tats are coming back.
Oh, they're coming after back. The honeymoon?
Yeah, totally.
Nice. So anyway, my guess is those are the most frequent questions she gets. She's just super fit. And also I think everyone is always wondering what coffee she drinks in the morning because her energy is insane and it never seems low. So that's one of the things I really notice about you. I mean, I think you have that kind of personality anyway. I just think that you're like super upbeat and expressive. And so I think part of it's personality, but I also think that kind of energy has to come from how you're fueling yourself, right?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. In fact, you know, several years ago, I guess maybe three or 4 years ago, I mean, my personal story with food is, you know, I was a chronic dieter my entire life. I mean, that was just what I knew from a very early age. And I think
dancing, right?
I think that had a massive impact on, you know, my body image for basically my entire life. So I don't really remember pretty much starting in middle school through, you know, my late 20s. I don't remember ever really being off a diet at some point, you know, or in some way, shape, or form. So it was like every single fad diet I've pretty much done. You know, it was all about like the Splenda and the, you know,
all the artificial stuff.
I mean, the, you know,
fat
the sugar.
free.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've done it all. And then, you know, the sugar-free coffee creamer and like all of the, you know, really synthetic protein bars and everything. So, and I was, you know, still before I was a SoulCycle instructor, I would still work out, not, you know, to the extent I do now, but I mean, I worked out, you know, 5 days a week pretty consistently. Yeah. And I just could not for the life of me understand why I didn't have more energy. I, you know, like you said, I'm just by nature positive, upbeat person, but I didn't really feel like physically always that way.
Yeah. And were you always lean though? Was it more of an energy thing for you?
Yes, I mean, I've kind of always been around where
I mean, you don't
right
have
now,
like a pair of fat jeans in the back of your closet, right?
I've always kind of been around, you know, where I'm at. I mean, I've weighed more and less than I have as a SoulCycle instructor, I guess I'll say that. Which I actually don't use weight as like a measure, but
just in terms, yes, of size.
Exactly.
But the energy is kind of a more important piece.
Yes, the energy is a more important piece, and definitely though, like when I transitioned to fitness, I mean, the SoulCycle, I will say, SoulCycle is where it's at in terms of like, you know, what it does to your body. But in terms of the energy and the food, I mean, I couldn't for the life of me understand why I was, you know, dieting and eating all of this stuff. You know, like I was a chronic calorie counter. I mean, and couldn't for the life of me understand why I couldn't lose that last 5 pounds. Like I just wanted to lose that last 5 pounds. And so I started doing some research and just reading a lot of different blogs, reading a lot of science-based you know, sort of theory. And I mean, it's pretty plain and simple where I've landed. I mean, I just eat real food. It's a very like simple thing, but I think a lot of people struggle with that because there's so much misinformation out there right now. And there is just, you know, I mean, from, we wouldn't we don't need to turn this into a political conversation, but like just in terms of, the massive amounts of money being spent on, food marketing alone. I mean, it's no wonder people are confused and don't know what to eat, Yeah. But literally what I have found through my own research, and again, I'm not a doctor, but I'm very much.
But she plays one on TV.
I definitely have many, many, many years. I have a lifetime of trial and error.
Yeah.
I have a lifetime of trial and error.
Well, here's why I think you're a good source. I mean, you're doing this week. What will you teach? Something crazy like 10 or 12 classes?
I think I'm teaching 13 this week.
13. Yeah, that's a lot. Can I just tell you, that's a lot. I take these classes. That's a lot. And so you have to have energy for that. She's on a stage. There's no faking it. Maybe I can fake it, although really hard to do in the front row, was much easier in the back row. But there's no faking it when you're up there on the stage. And then even when she gets off the bike to go motivate people, she's jumping up and down like you're on one of those pogo sticks. It's insane. I'm just like, where is she getting that energy? I feel like I'm going to collapse. So I think she's a good source because she has to fuel herself to be able to do that.
I definitely take.
And to have the energy and the mood too.
Yes.
Because I've never, by the way, super annoying. She smiles the entire class. So she's even through the sweat, she's smiling. So
I love what I do.
Yeah.
I do. I really
do. Shows. That's why everyone loves taking your class. No, it's true.
Yeah.
But so that's what I would imagine a lot of people are asking. Where do you get your energy? I'm coming to class, but I'm dragging myself to class. Yes. I'm tired afterwards.
Yeah. I get a lot of that. So I have
brain fog.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, my number one thing, I guess if I'm going in order, it's we need sufficient rest. There's just no
sleep is key. Period.
So you have to have sufficient rest. And I mean, I can sometimes use a little accountability on this myself. It's not always easy to get to bed at the time that we want to every single night. But if I don't have enough rest, and I see this time and time again with my riders or my family or friends, whenever like we take rest and restoration out of the equation, you're just not going to be functioning optimally. So when somebody asks me, how do they lose the last 10 pounds? How do I gain more? My first thing is like, okay, like what is your sleep pattern like? Are you getting enough rest? Okay, you are, or you're not, then, we can talk about that. And then the food that we're putting into our body. I mean,
so just quickly, studies have shown that if you're sleep deprived, you're drawn more to carbohydrates.
Absolutely.
And simple carbs.
Yeah.
So all that kind of junk
sugar
food
cravings,
and sugary
all
stuff.
That stuff, yeah.
Because you're looking for that quick energy and it doesn't work. So you may get a quick pop and then you crash again. And so you keep doing it. And that's how people who are chronically sleep deprived tend to be overweight.
Yeah.
Oh, they also, I think, have higher cortisol levels
as
well, which is the stress hormone, which adds to that.
Yes, absolutely. So number one thing is, make sure that you're getting enough rest, which is very challenging in our society today when we live in a culture of do more, stay busy. Yeah. It's like,
you're always working.
The gold medal. I'm so busy.
I'm so busy.
We have
to get those mugs.
Yeah. So there's that. And then too, what we put into our body is just so huge. I noticed. So after, a few years ago when I just decided, okay, enough is enough. There has to be another way to do this. I got back in the kitchen. And I just said, okay, what would happen if I just didn't diet? What would that look like? Could I do that? And that was a very scary thing for me at first, because we get so, it's a safe place. It's what we know, and oh my gosh, if I stop counting calories, if I allow myself to just eat, without any measuring things down to the ounce, what will that do? And it was such a freeing experience. It changed the game for me.
Yeah.
Changed the game for me. And I felt better. My energy I decided I did this 2-week sort of reset where it's kind of like an elimination sort of strategy where you I removed gluten and dairy and basically anything that was processed. I just kind of, threw it out. And within a couple of days, the difference was it was just undeniable. I just was like, I never want to go back to the other way.
Yeah.
So So yeah, I cook quite a bit. I'm very passionate about, nutrition and also just cooking delicious food that is good for you. And I think that's the big thing that people don't understand is that, number one, cooking people, I think, are afraid of the kitchen because it just feels like this, if you didn't grow up with it, it can be a very intimidating experience. People don't realize that, you can cook something delicious and awesome in under 30 minutes.
And Molly has, go to her website, mollysullivan.com. She has really simple way, like your overnight oats thing.
Yeah, I mean,
and like stuff for people who don't.
That
cook.
is literally like a 5-minute,
the
solution.
She has some really great recipes, and they are really simple.
Yeah, they're super simple. I mean, it has to
really tasty.
It has to fall into 3 categories. It has to be simple. It's got to taste good, and it has to be healthy. But that's if you don't have those first 2 things, a lot of people won't do it, right? Because we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
And, if you don't enjoy eating it, people think, oh, healthy, it's not good. Well, that's not really true.
Oh, it's not true at all.
Yeah.
And I just want to also mention, even for people who aren't in San Francisco, she works with a lot of people in San Francisco, will take them shopping, teach them how to do that, get their kitchen stocked up, but she can definitely do that from a distance as well. So feel free to reach out with her. She's super responsive. She actually does answer inquiries.
I do. I love to. I mean, I'm passionate about it. I mean, that is the basis of, my blog and what we're talking about here today. It really is, the name of my blog is Live Your Most Awesome Life. Yeah. Because that's really what it's about. It is about each of us, knowing that you deserve to live your own version of whatever that means for you. And it's going to look different for every single person,
But only you have control over it, right?
Exactly. We have control over the choices that we make to get us there. Yeah. So I am passionate about helping people get there, in class, off the bike, in so many ways. I mean, it's just, like I said, we know for sure that we get this chance. So I think we should make the most of it.
Absolutely. So what are some other frequently asked questions that you get from people? Or let's go back through this. You do the sleep thing, and then eliminate processed foods. That can be really hard for people.
Oh, that is challenging.
And also, a lot of your writers are in that 20, 30 something range, and those people tend to go out a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
lots of kind of drinking.
Yes, alcohol. Right. So, I mean, for me, I have cut back significantly on my alcohol intake. I mean, vision is that it's sugar. So but do I think that everybody should cut it out? No. I personally, when you teach 6 days a week, it's just, for me especially, I teach 6 a.m.
I know.
I just don't like the way that I feel. Oftentimes, if I have too much. Although I did have several glasses of wine for my bachelorette party, which was quite fun. And Chris and I had a glass the other night. So it's just
it's
here
about
and there.
balance.
It's about balance, and it's really about noticing. I think the biggest thing for me is I want people to start noticing how they feel.
Yeah, that's a really important
So often
point.
we're so checked out. So
tune in to your body. How your mind is, do you feel like you're in a fog a lot of the time? Do you feel clear?
Right.
Final note before we go. Can you believe that hour?
No.
It's insane. It went so quickly. And we're not going to be able to have a glass of wine because she has to go teach class, but another time. Maybe we split a glass or something.
That would be,
right?
Yes. Sharing is caring.
Anyway, again, you can find more information from Molly on mollysullivan.com, MOLLI. And thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Michelle. This woman, let's give it up for Michelle.
Oh, stop.
She's amazing.
Anyway, I'll be back next week with another guest, not in my little studio, though. Thank you for joining me. And again, check out Molly's blog. You'll find out lots of great stuff. It'll help you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone. Be well. Bye, Molly's husband and mom and dad.
I
know. You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 a.m., the station that leaves no listener behind.
I'm Busby, CNBC Radio. Stocks erased some steep early losses and even poked into positive territory for a while today before ending modestly lower. The Dow down 28, the Nasdaq off by 6. With oil spiking more than $1 a barrel higher, shares of energy companies were the big winners today, while airline stocks, big decliners. Weighing on investors today, worries about Greece, which has a big debt payment due later this week, and a weak reading on U.S. manufacturing during April. No worries about auto sales, though. Strong numbers in May, especially for small to mid-size SUVs, as the industry on pace to sell 17.8 million units this year. That's the most since 2005. The chairman and CEO of privately owned chain Toys R Us is retiring. The man taking his place has experience with taking other companies public. And the board at battery maker Energizer approving a buyback of